What's up, guys? My name's Sean and I'm the host of the NFT Talks podcast. And yes, we're back with another amazing guest. Her name is Charli Cohen. She's the queen of digital fashion based out in London. She has been in the NFT space for quite a while now, and she's been in the fashion industry from a teenager. She's done some amazing collaborations, including a collaboration with Selfridges and Pokemon, Assassin's Creed, Reebok. The list goes on. So this is one not to miss. If you're into digital fashion, digital wearables, interested to see how things are going to look in AR or even in the metaverse, this is something just to get your notepads out and take notes. There's not much more I can say apart from just get ready for an amazing episode. So let's keep going. Everyone subscribe. Thanks for the support so far, and let's help build this community. So guys, back with another episode. I've got somebody that I've been waiting to get on for a while. I'm excited because it's in the fashion realm. She's had a brand since the age of 15. She says she puts the tech into tech wear since 2012. She's had collaborations with Pokemon, Selfridges, worked with Yahoo, Reebok, the list goes on. I'm happy to have Charli Cohen. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you for coming on, man. What's new, man? How are you? How you doing?
Now we've hang on. Let's try and remove the dogs from here. Are you able to edit out obviously she kicked off the moment.
We can keep it in. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's live. Don't worry about the dog. I've had cats and all sorts. Don't worry about
the dogs are going to be in and out. They've just been distracted with chews. So
cool.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, things have been pretty hectic with the Pokemon collaboration, and now that's sort of mostly, or the physical component of it is wrapped up. I'm sort of mostly working on my other company, Restless, which is sort of infrastructure for fashion in the metaverse.
Okay, and it makes a lot of sense. We're going to go into that a bit more detail with all the recent news of Facebook and all that stuff. So I'm sure that's exciting for you. But what I want to give a brief background into where you actually your background is, because I understand you're in fashion. You've been to fashion from a young age.
Yes.
So just give the audience and listeners a bit of introduction, a bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. So as you mentioned, I started my first brand when I was 14, 15. I knew that I wanted to go into fashion, had a pretty good sense even at that time that the design piece was only a small part of it. So I really wanted to be able to get to grips with the business of fashion, how to set up a supply chain, how to manage wholesale, retail, how to fill out a tax return. And I figured the best way to do it would just be to throw myself into it. And I ran that brand up until I started my formal fashion training at university. Whilst I was at university, I got sort of very heavily into digital media. So this would have been, I guess, when Twitter was having its first moment in 2009. And yeah, I was blogging on mostly on well-being and mental health, alongside my fashion degree. And then when I finished that course, I realized that rather than I guess a traditional fashion brand, I was really interested in digital world building, and wanted to create a brand that really sort of encompassed both parts of sort of digital and physical. And at that time, probably for the first, I've been running this brand for nearly a decade now, and probably up until 2019, the digital piece was much more about how I could create immersive experiences around physical product. And then in the last couple of years, I've been exploring much more actually having digital fashion within games, within social spaces, and now within the metaverse. So it's been, I guess it feels like it's really my time now to launch the brand that I kind of wanted to launch 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you were ahead of your time. You're thinking about these things from an early stage, especially when you talk about obviously the immersive technology and whatnot. And these things are more or less could have been a fantasy at the time. Do you game? Do you game by any chance?
I game very casually. So
Okay.
my head of partnerships in the company, he's like the hardcore gamer.
Okay.
I'm like the Tetris gamer.
Like a
But
train journey right gamer. Yeah.
exactly. But I have always been very interested in the culture and the aesthetic of video games. So, and that's again, it was like where it's quite natural to wind up working in the gaming industry, because my brand, the actual fashion itself, has always been very influenced by that kind of post-apocalyptic video game tech wear aesthetic.
Yeah, it's sort of an interesting, Charlie, and it's because you started from such a young age, and you talked about the whole process in regards to starting a brand. I mean, I've had my own clothing brand before too. I've worked with independent fashion brands. I understand the process and the length it takes to actually start something up, and then the initial investment too, to get your samples. And if you're doing cut and sew, once again, more investments, and then you're looking at materials, you're paying for zips, you're paying for buttons, so much things you have to do. And then even trying to find a manufacturer, like that is a problem within itself, and a good one. Now, with this whole suggestion of digital wearables, I feel that this is just like an opportunity for kids, anybody, to take advantage of this, because I think there's going to be less obstacles in the way for creativity, which I think has been a barrier for a long time.
I totally agree. I mean, I'm really excited about how this, I guess, this sort of metaverse moment, or like the start of obviously what's going to be a whole new ecosystem for fashion, is going to birth a whole new generation of brands that are born in digital, and your resource for creating a digital collection is time and skills rather than money, and that's something that anybody has the opportunity to develop. So I think one of the reasons that fashion's been one of the, I guess, slower parts of the NFT space compared to art is just the tech barrier to entry. The being able to create fashion in 3D is a very specific skill. But that said, certainly like the next gen who are leaving fashion school right now, I think they're very wise to that. And yeah, like I have always been very uncomfortable with the traditional fashion industry. I guess, I was in the thick of it from a young age. And by the time I finished uni, I was, I guess, very much taking a bit more of an anarchistic view towards it. So I am very happy to see something that's actually a barrier for traditional luxury industry, because them coming into the space feels very cash grabby and inauthentic unless they collaborate with an artist or a brand that are natively in the space. And we're seeing the start of a really important power shift, and I think we're going to see that dynamic really develop over the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, because like one thing, that the guys that have been particularly running the fashion industry for all these years, I mean, they've had their own system, their own structure. Now that's all changing, and they're either going to, like you said, going to have to collaborate with people within the space in order to take advantage of the community in the space. Talk to me about the whole link between digital fashion and NFTs, because obviously we know digital fashion was a thing before. It was always a thing before
Sure.
NFTs came around. So we got things like Fabricant and DressX and whatnot. I've already pushed it without NFTs, but what does NFTs mean for digital fashion?
It means ownership. I think that's really the key thing. So there's a difference between buying a skin in a game and buying a skin that you own, at the least, and in the best case scenario that you own and can actually take into other spaces as well. I think ownership is something that's really key to identity. And if a game suddenly disappears and goes bust, and you've invested your hard-earned fiat, crypto, whatever else, you want to still own what you've purchased, and you want the utility as well to be able to express your identity in the same way across multiple platforms as well. So yeah, NFTs are really exciting in that respect. It just gives you a ton of control over how you express yourself and identify yourself online.
When did you come across NFTs then? When did you come across it? And what was, I would say, what was a penny drop moment? Like, oh my gosh, this is, I mean, it may have been straight away for you because you're already into digital fashion, but yeah.
So I encountered NFTs, I think maybe around the beginning of 2020, and it was purely like, oh, here's a technology that's solving these issues that I'm coming up against around utility for digital fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So it was sort of through that that I encountered the space, and then I was sort of straight down the rabbit hole into the NFT community and realized how exciting it was just as a cultural movement. And again, this like an opportunity for a whole new generation of creatives. And yeah, sort of found my home in the space after that. It's really, I guess, again, like having been mostly socializing within the traditional fashion circles or within like your kind of traditional Silicon Valley tech, you rarely experience that crossover of like sort of futurist people who are like very artistic and creative, and
Yeah.
you know, the NFT space is made up of those people. So yeah, so once I'd like discovered the community beyond tech, then I was, you know, fully in.
Did you get any backlash from your peers, especially in the fashion industry, that people that have been in traditional fashion, because you've been on that side, to you looking into digital fashion? Are they like frown upon it, like, oh, what the hell are you doing? Or are they like, well, okay, like this makes sense? Is everybody warming towards the idea?
I think it was pretty authentic to how the Charli Cohen brand was created. So it wasn't, I guess it wasn't strange for us to just move more and more into that space. Any backlash or negativity has been fairly minimal, and really down to, I guess, a lack of education around, you know, you see all the sensationalist headlines around NFTs, and you know, it only takes a conversation to dispel all of that misinformation. But on the whole, I think our community was very much sort of based in the like gaming space, Gen Z audience, and that it's like just a really natural, you socialize so much of the time in digital, like why wouldn't you be expressing your identity the same way in digital as you do in physical spaces? I think it just felt natural.
Yeah, I think the conversation that I have with a few people, especially because of digital fashion, I'd say it just makes sense to me, because we have to talk about gaming, because a lot of time is spent by the younger generation in this space, and the gaming industry is $1 billion industry. The fashion industry is $1 trillion industry, and it's an old infrastructure, especially the fashion industry. Now we're going to be able to create a whole new ecosystem in this realm where everybody spends their time, and I think that kind of overspills into gaming and then the metaverse. And it seems to me that the world is moving this way, especially with Facebook announcement of changing their name to Meta, and they're talking about it. So that's going to bring a spotlight on it to the mainstream. So, and then obviously still got CryptoVoxel, Decentralands, and so on. So, yeah, like what excites you the most about everything what's going on at this point? What excites you the most?
I think it is that that freedom that we will have to curate our identity, decide whether we want to have, you know, different facets of our identity that we explore in different places, or if we want to have something that feels very consistent to our physical world identity, to have the freedom to take that into all the digital spaces in which we socialize. I think just like removing this barrier that shouldn't really exist between physical and digital, because like as we go through our day, we're not thinking about the barrier. It's not like, okay, I'm just going to like stop real life for a minute here, like be in front of my laptop or whatever. Like it doesn't the separation doesn't happen for us mentally. So the barrier shouldn't be there in any other aspect of our identity or day-to-day either.
Yeah, okay. So do you think, are you looking at things, I already do know, I know you're looking at things like AR, augmented reality with fashion, or even like you're looking at things like virtual reality. I mean, even if you just go onto your site, you'll see that you've got that whole interactive site, which I haven't really seen anything like that. Like, so anyone that hasn't got the site, hasn't gone on the site, sorry, go check that out 100%. You'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, tell me about
Electric City especially. Yeah, I mean, that was honestly the first thing that I really got to dabble in maybe 5 or 6 years ago, AR and VR, when it was still, like quite nascent and expensive, but like had the opportunity to do a few collaborations and explore different things through that. And then, yeah, over the last couple of years, I've done a lot more around that. So last year, we did a collaboration with Sanrio, like Hello Kitty guys, around their character Gudetama. And we basically framed it as a mental health awareness campaign, because Gudetama is pretty much a depressed egg yolk. And we built this VR experience that allowed the person in the headset to be experiencing the world through the lens of somebody with depression. And it was amazing, because when you put somebody in VR, like I guess it's one of those things that you can't explain to people unless they experience it. I imagine you've spent some time in a headset, and like your brain and body react as if you're in the space that you're seeing through the headset. So to be able to use that as a tool to help people understand and empathize with other people is really powerful. So that was a really exciting project to do. And then we linked that into a physical collection, where we were donating a percentage of profits to Mind's mental health charity, and also a digital capsule collection within the mobile game High Rise. So that was a really sort of fun experimental project last year. And then this year, so we used the AR along with physical garments in a collection we did with Assassin's Creed at the beginning of the year. So we had physical garments. You can scan a graphic using the Snap camera, and it unlocks an AR experience.
So not a QR code, a graphic.
It's a graphic, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
So that was a way of kind of bringing the game world into the physical. Let me grab this dog because she's on my lap and she's not going to bark. Can also participate. This is Suki. So there was that collaboration with Assassin's Creed using AR. And then sort of most recently, we did this collaboration with Pokemon, which is where sort of Electric City was the home of it. Electric City is a world that's been built out in Unreal Engine, so like a full gaming environment. And we created this shopping experience together with Yahoo Studios, and also Selfridges, a luxury department store in London, where people could kind of immerse themselves in this experience through their phone, through a browser. The world would actually work in VR as well. It's just sort of totally sort of multi-platform. And then you can interact with and buy the physical collection. And there's also a digital collection with metaverse utility.
Are the digitals NFTs then? Are they NFTs?
So the digitals, we had to find like various workarounds because traditional industry is a bit scared of NFTs, but they can be purchased on a private blockchain via like in fiat via a chain called BlockV, and then from within your BlockV wallet, you're then able to mint onto Polygon. So they are NFTs, but you're not minting directly as NFTs. We had to find a sort of careful workaround to keep everyone happy. But this way, we really wanted to attract a mainstream customer who hadn't even really experienced the metaverse before. So we set up Electric City to be as accessible and engaging as possible for that person. And then like little sort of Easter eggs, like the fact that you can mint once you've bought the pieces, that's more for the Web3 native customer we have coming in. So we tried to have something for everyone. And that's, really what I'm very passionate about doing with my company, just finding a way to handhold mainstream and traditional IPs into the space in a non-intimidating way. And I, that was that was very successful with it. So with this project, we had a physical space in Selfridges as well. And as customers came through, we were able to take them through the digital journey on their phone. And yeah, it was really cool to see the excitement as people sort of reacted to this immersive environment. And it was like a new experience for them.
Well, first of all, massive congratulations on the collaboration, especially like with the Selfridges and Pokemon, like massive IPs. And like, I guess I feel a lot of people are waiting for Pokemon to come into the space, because obviously with the Pokemon Go, augmented reality and whatnot. But I guess you're kind of giving them that first little nudge.
Yes, little nudge, exactly.
Little nudge.
So, I would say that traditional IP is fairly scared of the space. Traditional Japanese IP, extremely scared of the space, very protective. So it might be a while before we see Pokemon throwing themselves headfirst into NFTs relative to some other IPs in the space.
So that makes your collaboration almost like going to be like CryptoPunks for the Pokemon community. Literally.
I mean, I can but hope.
Well, look, it's the first one, isn't it? Like, it's the first one, the first time, their first little taste within the space, and people are going to come back from years to come when they actually, because I think they're definitely going to get involved at some point, because they're going to have to, and they're going to look back, and you're going to be one of them OG collaborations, man. I definitely think
that's the goal. That's what I'm hoping.
That's the goal, man. That's the goal. So, all right. So, what do you So the NFT, you create NFTs, yeah? Is that right? With some of the collaborations and your work alone. Do you do it on? Is it Ethereum? What blockchain do you use?
Yeah, so generally Ethereum.
Okay.
And it's still just it's the blockchain that currently retains the most value. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as much as there are obviously the environmental implications with Ethereum right now, and it would be nice to look at some of the cleaner chains. We all know that we're less than a year out of moving to Ethereum 2, which on balance is the digital industry solving the environmental issue in a few months versus the traditional industry not managing to solve the problem in decades. So yeah, just some perspective, because I know that that's a fairly sticky subject.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, there's other blockchains out there, like you said. I'm sure you're probably looking at like Solana, Tezos.
Yeah, Tezos.
But I mean, is that something that may potentially in the future? I mean, why not be able to mint some on Ethereum and some on another chain? I mean,
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, with the Pokemon collaboration, the digital garments were minted using Polygon. Mm-hmm. With Restless, which is the sort of wearables platform I'm doing, minting will be done via Immutable X, which is a layer 2 rollup that works over the top of Ethereum. And again, it basically puts things through in sort of giant batches across the network. So the gas and impact is kind of nominal for each individual NFT that goes through. So there are those solutions on top of Ethereum as well. So Immutable's one, there's Arbitrum. Obviously, like Matic is running as a side chain.
There's Palm, isn't there?
Ethereum.
There's Palm also, and then there's Wormbridge Hole.
I don't know Wormbridge Hole.
That's kind of like being able to transfer assets. It's like a validator in between Solana and Ethereum.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Cool. So that's that. I mean, they're all going to pop up, aren't they? And there's going to be different ones that we're going to be able to use in the future. So I guess we just have to kind of figure out and see which one works best. But what I want to talk to you about, obviously, having a bit of skin in the game, and obviously looking at the fashion, having a background in fashion, and then walking into digital fashion. What projects are you looking at? Like, what are your favorite projects out there, especially when it comes to the wearables?
So my favorite projects, with wearables, I feel like there's still a lack of utility, which is why I'm building Restless, and the purpose of that is to basically create a huge amount of like interoperable utility across both like decentralized spaces, but also within traditional games, so that you can take skins everywhere. But projects, I mean, I actually I like to invest in like independent artists and one-of-ones. One of the things that I really love about the NFT community is that like the economy works with artists investing in more artists and so on. And yeah, I really enjoy being part of that. And then with the kind of more like PFP projects, I mean, like World of Women, I remain very bullish on. I bought in fairly early on that, and that's been a good hold. Another of these sort of women-centric projects I really like is Boss Beauties as well. They're a really, really great team. I
spoke to
good people.
Crypto Mum the other day. I don't know if
yeah,
she's cool. Yeah, so I know she's involved with that. So shouts out to Crypto Mum.
Yeah, shout out to Crypto Mum. I also met her 2 daughters today. Cynthia and Imani.
She told me literally, I'm going to connect with them. Like literally, you'll see these. I already spoke to your mum. We're going to connect.
No,
they
they're
do
like,
don't they? They do digital fashion trainers. Is that right?
Yes, they're doing they're doing digital fashion. Like it's an awesome family.
Yeah.
And then like I think my favorite project is here we go. Suki doesn't want anyone to know what my favorite project is. She's like, no financial advice. We've spoken about this. Suki, no. It's Cryptodes. I just love the community. Okay. I love Gremplin, and yeah, they're like I don't know, I feel like it's just such a fun project, and it's very inclusive, very positive, very, very lovely, and I think one that will hold a lot of value.
Did you manage to get any?
I did.
Okay, cool. Because the floor's at about 9. Is that 9?
The floor, yeah, it's gone. I mean, it went up to like 16, I think, a few weeks ago. But I think now it's back down again. Obviously, everything we're in. We're in the like 3-week bear market now.
We'll see what happens over time. But it definitely has. I definitely got the feel that has a lot of value. I've spoke to other collectors, and especially the collectors, they tend to have Cryptodes, and they speak highly of the projects. Yeah, it was like a kind of a stealth drop. Not a lot of people knew about it at the time, and
I think as well. I mean, Gremplin, who's behind Nouns. That's like it's a very good team. Very very innovative. Very like everything is sort of Creative Commons as well, so the artwork can be used by anyone for anything. It's like it just feels very very democratized. Like even within the context of what's supposed to be a like decentralized landscape, it feels particularly democratized. So yeah, I really like it.
Okay, I'm surprised you didn't mention artifacts.
Artifacts, yeah. No, artifacts. They're obviously setting a great sort of precedent in the space for physical digital crossover. You can stop it.
It's all right. I still can hear you, so it's not a problem.
Oh my god!
Little background noise.
Such a demon. No, artifacts. I think it's very much the like hype crowd. It's a really natural fit for the the NFT space as well. So yeah, I think they're doing good things with setting a precedent. I'm really looking forward to seeing like finding out all the utility of Clone X when that drops. And I think they do a really great job of involving their creative community as well. Super cool.
Okay, another project, Ja Rule, that he brought out a digital wearable. Do you see that? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think
it's called Robert and something. I can't remember the name. But I've seen them. What's your thoughts?
I guess any celebrity coming into the space, I think they need to make extra effort to be doing it in collaboration with artists in the space. Extra effort to be building community in the space, because they really have something to prove that it's not a cash grab. So I would like to see a lot more engagement from, I'd say, most of the celebs who are dropping projects.
Yeah, I agree.
to be diplomatic.
No, I agree, man. Like you need to I feel that that is the best route into the space. So flipping it on its head, what would be your dream collaboration? I mean, you had some great ones already, but is anyone that's not in the space, in the fashion world, or someone you think that, you know what, I'd love to collaborate with them and show them how it's done?
I would love to collaborate with Blackpink, do some like crazy K-pop wearables NFT drop. It would, let's see. Oh, it's such a big question. I mean, Pokemon was a big one ticked off, to be honest. But yeah, I think finding some really fun ways to bring the music industry into the mix, I would really enjoy, because there's you can play so much with all, like, there's fashion, there's also like bringing in music into NFTs, there's having like VR or like decentralized world-based shows. I feel like there's just like the most fun you can have is with musicians.
Gamifying it and all sorts, man. I think that's definitely the future of it. And I mean, I don't know if you come across Idris Sunday. So
yes,
he was working with Nipsey Hussle on that whole with the marathon, and then collaborating with the albums and the music. So they're things that already been spoke about. But I mean, I'm not sure how far he's. I think he's still carrying on with that. He's doing a lot of things in tech. So, what's your thoughts on things like that?
I think that's super cool. Again, I feel like it's that again, it's coming from a very like authentic place of being a futurist and wanting to find new ways in which to do things. And it, we can all see, I think, when something's coming from a genuine love of the space and the possibilities.
Yeah. So what have you got? Have you been given NFTs? Have you bought any NFTs yourself?
Oh yeah. So I've bought quite a lot of like one-of-one stuff from artists. I think my most recent buy was from an artist called Leaf Swan, who has released a collection of, I think it's 200 collectibles that sort of manually created one-of-ones called My Digital Charm. But they're super cool. Those little like animated sort of lucky cats. Mm-hmm. And then I recently minted some glitch girls as well. I think the artwork on those is pretty cool.
Is that the Twitch? Is that right? Am I right with that one? Glitch girls. Who put that together?
Oh God,
is it someone that's on Twitch, like a gamer? Am I right?
Hang on.
Am I thinking of somebody else? I just want to be able to.
She's already quite a prolific artist in the space, and I've completely. Oh, Ghost Girl.
I don't know if I've seen that. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into that myself. So okay, definitely want to check out Ghost Girl.
And then Sealite. So they, I think he did the capsule NFTs. Mm-hmm. So that was a drop maybe a month or so ago. But again, like really incredible artists. And yeah, the artwork in that particular project is really cool. I don't know. I mean, like I kind of go based on, I like buying into artwork that I aesthetically like. I want to be able to, enjoy it if I'm not going to sell it. There aren't that many things that I buy specifically to hold and flip. Or if I do, then I'll usually again like buy one to keep and buy one to flip later. I think my best trade recently was managing to win the mint lottery for 2 mechas and then selling them pre-reveal at the peak of hype.
Well, you got that's a win. That's a win.
It's a win.
That's a win. All right, cool. So, where do you think things are gonna? How do you think things are gonna look within the future in regards to the company? What you're doing? Because I know you've got Forge, which is the kind of the AR, in-house AR side of it. What kind of things are you guys looking to do in the future? You're not speaking about.
So I guess the main thing is the new company that I'm going to be launching in the next month or so called Restless, which is essentially like merchandising for the metaverse. So we'll be doing limited edition drops with various like pop culture brands, music artists, crypto native brands as well. And the user can basically come in, choose a garment silhouette, customize it with the like limited edition graphics from the drop, mint it, and choose a bundle of different digital spaces that they want to take it into, and also redeem a physical. And again, it kind of just ties into wanting people to have the option to have a consistent identity across platforms or curate their identity across platforms. And I thought a cool way to do that, rather than being based specifically around just fashion, was to base it around fandoms and IP. Because I think that's, it's how we connect with each other before we start speaking to each other. I know that if I'm walking down the street wearing a Metallica t-shirt, I'm probably going to get like a couple of people be like, nice t-shirt, what's your favorite album? And I think we're spending even more time in social spaces than we are on the street in digital social spaces. So I think it's really nice to be able to like represent your interests and your fandoms in those spaces.
Yeah, 100%. Have you guys come across Genies?
Yes, yeah.
They're doing some cool things, right? They've got the right with the avatars and the kind of the same thing that you're saying, but just solely on the digital fashion side.
With and I mean, Ready Player Me as well, who we're working with, it's a similar concept to Genies, but it's about having the interoperability. I guess like the difference with what I'm doing with Restless is that the wearables are rendered to the like very much to the aesthetic of each environment they're going into. So you'd have like the voxel version of it to wear in Sandbox. You'd have just like versions that are like very much tied to the aesthetic of each game.
So when you buy it, do you get all versions? Like, so you can, okay, cool.
So you can put together so you mint the parent NFT, and then you can pick the bundle of different environments that you want a version for. Initially you might just want one environment, and then later, as long as you own the NFT, you can continue to add more. As we add more to the platform, you can continue to add more. So you can basically like tailor it to how you socialize and interact in digital.
Technical question now, based on what you just said, let's get a bit deeper. So if you have the parent NFT and you've minted a bundle, you sell the parent NFT, do you still own the bundle?
No, the bundle goes with the parent NFT. So that's part of the utility.
Okay, so then really the value's got to, as soon as you buy a bundle, you've got to consider that, and the value's got to go up, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then to kind of layer on top of that, there's you can earn XP just by sort of engaging with the Restless app, and you can evolve your wearables into something that's rarer. So again, that kind of adds to the value on secondary if you're willing to sort of put the time in and grind into evolving.
So is that something so is that like dynamic NFTs? You do something like that along autonomous NFTs? So what kind of things have you got in down the pipeline with that?
With
dynamic NFTs, like something. When I say that, I mean like something clothes maybe changing or something happening based on real life events.
So exactly. So the wearable itself will evolve. As after a certain, either after like an XP exchange or later when we can figure it out, a certain number of hours of gameplay, like wearing each piece and so on. So I mean, there's obviously so much flexibility, right, for programming NFTs and like updating the metadata and so on, that hasn't been explored that much yet. And fashion is a kind of perfect way to play around with that.
All right. So what excites you the most, apart from fashion, apart from art, because obviously that's one of the things that everyone talks about with NFTs? Is there any other industry that you think like this is gonna disrupt this industry in a crazy way? I think it's gonna do it for everyone, but what excites you the most?
I mean, like obviously play to earn is huge. The fact that Ubi has just announced that they're going to be launching play to earn is really exciting. Going to start to sort of see some of the traditional gaming industry moving in. And I think, similar to art, right? The combining culture with DeFi brings in a whole new audience that hadn't previously even thought about investing.
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, gaming is, I mean, it's, you know, it's already happening, but that's going to get even more significant as traditional gaming industry starts to adopt a more open economy, which they will. There's already a lot of, you know, there's already a lot of interest there. And I think everybody's just figuring out what the best way to do it is. So it's going to happen. Then I think, I guess tied somewhat to fashion, I think, you know, everything around identity is going to be very important. So beauty is going to be really interesting to see how that that gets brought into the metaverse and digital spaces and avatars.
Explain, like, what do you mean when you say beauty? Are you saying like filters or?
So beauty, I guess, everything that's not specifically clothes. So like hair, makeup, well-being, like how does that all translate into your avatar, and how you represent yourself online, because it plays a very key role in identity and self-expression. It's not as straightforward as wearables, but it's, you know, once somebody cracks it, I think that's going to be huge as well.
I think that one thing, what could potentially work is, and it already exists, is obviously we had the whole wearable tech, and then we've had like things like Nintendo Wii that kind of introduced the fitness and the technology side of it. So if everybody, depending on who it was, whether it's Ready Player Me or what, had a standard level avatar that everyone starts as, and then you can build, if you're talking fitness, build the physique based on what you do in the real world. Yeah. And then you could sell that on. Like if you're just a fitness freak, you could just buy avatars and pump them up and sell them on to other people.
Yeah, I mean that's
yeah.
Yeah, but I could totally see that. I could totally see that working.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess how do you? Okay, so one question I've kind of brought into the podcast, what I'm tapping into the minds of the guests is, how do you see the world? And this is from waking up in the morning to just going throughout your day. How do you visualize the world in, say, the next 10 years with digital fashion and NFTs and everything else? Like, how, for waking up in the morning, what does it look like?
I think it just goes back to there being no barrier. So
but talk me through it. If we don't describe, I want you to talk me through it. You wake up in the morning and what do you see? What do you do? What do you feel? What do you purchase? What do you put on? Like them kind of things.
This is so on the spot. I need to
well,
you need to like edit out the 5-minute silence as I figure this out.
It's not really just like this, even if it doesn't exist already, like this is what I want to see, what is the possibilities to, okay, you wake up in the morning, you I don't know, you put on your augmented reality, or you wear your AR glasses and you flip between your what you're wearing, your digital wearables, and then I don't know, like different things. Or you may just go into like a metaverse. You may not leave your house, and you may have a meeting. Like, so in your life, how would things work?
I feel like the physical interaction, like I think as humans, it's still going to be a requirement, right? There's still going to be a lot of elements of physical, social to our day, but the tech becomes a lot more accessible. So I think, as you say, like AR specs are totally going to be refined by then. So things like advertising, the world is going to be a billboard. I think what's going to be, I don't know, it's like what I tend to think about, I guess, rather than day-to-day stuff, is more how things are going to look socially and politically when you have the transparency of blockchain enforced across politics and culture. So I would like to think that in 10 years, we're all going to have a lot more autonomy and power over our lives. I think also, DeFi is going to create a situation where countries are going to need to try very hard to get you to stay there and pay taxes there, right? Like we're all going to be digital nomads at that point. And again, there's going to be this power shift of like, what are the incentives for me to live here versus somewhere else? I mean, even now, like everyone's moving to Portugal because it's like the best incentives for anybody in crypto. So I think, I know this isn't answering your question, but it's in terms of I guess this is the stuff that I tend to reflect on or like discuss more. But I think, yeah, we're like I would like to think that we might actually achieve something that looks a lot more like democracy than we have right now, which means that, yeah, I guess you're going to wake up in the morning having a lot more power over what your day looks like compared to now.
Yeah, a lot more control. I mean, one thing I really is having control of your data, like DIDs,
yes,
things that Cardano was talking about with I know they did the thing with the contract with Africa and Ethiopia of having control of your identity and what you want to share and what you don't share. That side, I feel that we're very we're very naive to what's shared and how we're just very open because we're just used to using all these services, and we just got to give our information away in order to use it. Whereas things are going to change, and then obviously the services are going to have to offer something to us, like you said, in order for us to offer all of our information. So we're going to be a lot more. We're going to have a lot more control over our data, like you said. Yeah. So I
think
agree.
Like anonymity and pseudonyms are going to be much more commonplace by that time as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's something that, we obviously see it adopted a ton within the crypto community, but even, like the whole generation that are coming up now, like it's the norm to have pseudonyms on social media. It's the only way that you can create some kind of separation from having your life laid out for everyone to see, which has been a major mental health problem over the last years. If you look at the suicide rates and everything else. So yeah, it starts out as I think pseudonyms start out as a self-preservation thing, and then it just ties into I guess a much freer way of living. So yeah, this is like I don't think we're going to be reaching like utopia in 10 years by any stretch. But I think we're going to see, a lot more power balance between like governments and their constituents.
Interesting. It's a goal. Whether it's going to happen, that's another question. I think it's what we're going to see over time.
I mean, 10 years is also like a million years in crypto.
Yes, it's
so anything could happen.
So definitely. But let's hope that I think that's one thing I do like about the NFT or crypto community. I feel that, well, some of them, apart from the negative side of it, but a lot of people have good intentions to create a better world. I feel that. So as long as we have the right people that are building these infrastructures, have good intentions, then we'll end up in a good place. Because the last thing we want is somebody that's building that hasn't got good intentions and don't have these things in mind. And
for sure,
that can affect everything. So that happens in the real world. It's definitely going to happen in this world too also. So people like yourself, I'd say I'm in the space, I have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to keep building and working together to create the overall bigger picture of what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah, definitely. I think, obviously, Facebook is a prime example of how quickly the decentralized landscape can become a centralized one if Zuck has his way. But I think, more and more of us are, as we get immersed in the tech and in building and understanding what's possible, there's a lot more incentive there to work towards this more democratized, decentralized world, and a lot of talent that is plowing into making that happen. I can't imagine actually how difficult it's going to be for the the Facebook matters of this world to be hiring talent from the Web3 community, because the ethos is the complete antithesis of the community. So I think that's going to be an issue for these big corporations that come in as well. Like right now, at least, we're all a bunch of anarchists. So I guess, everybody has their price, but it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, it does. Like I said, it goes back to what we were saying, like hopefully people have good intentions and try and guide it down that way. But yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on today, Charli. Like we've spoke about so much things. I know the conversation goes from one end to another, but it's always good. I love having great conversations and opening my mind and highlighting things that don't really get spoken about, just rather than just focus on how much money is being made within the NFT space. So appreciated having you on.
No, thanks so much for having me and for tolerating my furious Pomeranian.
So where can people find you, Charli?
So I am at Charli Cohen, Charli spelled Charli, to be awkward, on pretty much every network. So yeah, hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, and yeah, like I'm pretty good at replying to DMs. So yeah, if anybody has any questions or just wants to say hey, then definitely hit me up.
Perfect. So I'll put the links below for everyone to contact yourself. She is a pleasant and nice person. Met her in person. You will speak to her. So definitely go hit her up. But thanks for coming on. Everyone stay listening and stay blessed.